I want to ask these two little sisters to come up here, please. Come up here. I have to do it when you're all sitting down. And where you're from and the community.
I am Sister Aileen. I am from Peru, and our community is Pro Iglesia Santa.
Sister, how do you spell your name?
Aileen.
Eileen.
Yeah.
Eileen.
Aileen.
Okay, I'm Sister Amy. I'm also from the same community from Peru. We just arrived last year in August, and we are studying in the St. Paul Seminary.
Okay, you're studying theology. How many sisters are in your community?
We are 52 sisters.
52 and
Yes.
growing.
Yes. we hope
Okay,
so.
give them a little applause. We're happy you're here. I don't necessarily see a lot of sisters, so when you do, you just got to put them up front. All right, well, I have two thoughts for today from the gospel. The first I already mentioned at the beginning of Mass, trust. Trust. I find in my own life, certainly in my journey with the Lord, that, there are times and seasons where I'll ask more, and it's kind of like a greater challenge than the last season. And I think about the gospel today now. Peter was out fishing all night long, caught nothing. All right? It was a great challenge all night long. I mean, imagine you're tired. I don't know if you like to ice fish. But anyway, you're tired all night long, caught nothing. It's a bummer. It would have been a little better if maybe he had caught like 30 fish. And Jesus said, hey, let's go throw the nets out. And he says, yeah, we just caught 30. Let's go for more. But no, it wasn't. It wasn't even like we caught a big one, It was nothing. And sometimes the Lord challenges us that way. He says, will you trust me at the 11th hour or after a long night when it seems like there's nothing there? Will you trust my word now? I was put in touch with a situation down in Guatemala, and some of what I'm about to share comes from a man named Dave Hipsch. But there's a young man there. His name is Rene. And Rene had a hemophiliac disease. Okay, so it's a blood disease, and if he had a major injury, he could bleed out and die. Well, the parents, they lived in a little finca outside of Antigua in Guatemala, so they're kind of poor up in the mountains. And for many years, they tried to help Rene to find healing. To doctors, many prayers, anyone who could offer assistance. And in fact, these missionaries, Dave Hipsch being one of them, trying to assist the family. No healing, no healing. Finally, about age 11, 12, the father's like, this is the end. This is the end. And Dave Hipsch goes up there, the missionary, goes up there and says, give us one more chance. One more chance with your son. He went down to a basilica in Antigua, which is in honor of a man named San Pedro de San Francisco, St. Peter of St. Francis. This was a brother who died roughly in his 40s, fairly young, but many, many miracles attributed to his intercession. So when you go in this basilica and you go in the back, and literally there's a room filled with crutches and knee braces and all sorts of plaques saying, thank you, St. Pedro de San Francisco, for your intercession because healing came. So he goes down and he intercedes to San Pedro one more time, and then he makes a run to Guatemala City. And this is like a Sunday afternoon. Places are not open on Sunday. Sunday afternoon. He's looking for two things. He's looking for a doctor who has serum for blood transplantation, and then he's looking for blood, which he doesn't have. And they are literally going around the city and asking people in public to give blood that day. And they find people who will do it. And they find a doctor with serum. And they give what could have been the last blood transfusion to this young man. But no. San Pedro de San Francisco came through. And in the 11th hour, this young man, Rene, stood up like a new being. And he ran down the hill into the suburbs, the barrios of Antigua, to meet the missionary Dave. And sure enough, overjoyed, healed in the end. A beautiful story. Well, the parents had to trust a very, very long time. Okay. And of course, the Lord has to bring us there, because otherwise we're left in false securities of things in this life, or our own gifts, self-reliance, and so on. And God says, no, I want you to have the greatest security, and for that you will have to learn to trust in me. So first thing is to pray for trust today. Second thing, what is the greatest quality of sheep? What is the greatest quality of sheep? You should stand up and give this homily. I was say, is the greatest quality of a sheep that the sheep is like really intelligent? No, they're not known for their intelligence. Is the greatest quality of sheep that they're really, really good looking? Are they gorgeous? Like, a horse is gorgeous, or, deer? No, they're not gorgeous. Sometimes they're thought of as a little bit stupid. But what is the biggest quality of a sheep? Is this man, is it Tom? What's your name? Tom. As Tom said, sheep are followers. They're followers. Okay, that's what they do. So I was learning about sheep from a farmer, actually, and Dave Hipsch telling me. This farmer said, watch this once. He had a whole bunch of sheep in this corralled in this area, and they're about to go out into the pasture. And so he took a little stick. And for the first sheep that was going out, he took that little stick and he put it about 10 to 12 inches off the ground. So when the sheep went out of the gate, it had to jump over the stick. And so the first one jumped over the stick and went out in the fields to eat the green grass. Well, then he pulled the stick away and said, watch this. Every sheep that followed jumped. Even though the stick wasn't there. Even though the stick wasn't there. And the same sheep, same farm, let out of the corral. First one brought to go around the farmhouse. Going around the farmhouse. By the time the first sheep got around the farmhouse, came back again, the last sheep was getting out of the corral. So now the first sheep is following the last sheep. And do you know what they did? They kept going around and around and around. They didn't know who started this or who was at the end. They were following, just simply following. Well, this is where the sheep do get good. They do know the voice of the master. They know the voice of the master from the foreign voices, okay? The final line of the gospel says, Peter, James, John, and the rest left all of their belongings and followed him. And followed him. And so today we are invited to be followers of Jesus Christ, to listen to the voice of the shepherd and to trust. So let's pray for that. Lord, may we be your disciples, true followers, obedient sheep who trust and know your voice.